getting to visit Quantico Marine Base in Quantico, Virginia. And while I was there, I went into the colonel's office who's in charge of OCS, which is where they select officers. They had a little incident. We arrived to the meeting late, and I said, what happened? He said, well, we're considering throwing someone out of the Marine Corps. And I was thinking to myself, wow, this is serious. What did this guy do? What law did he break? So of course, my curious self, I said, what he did. And they said, well, he fell asleep on watch. I said, that's it? I mean, these are the woods of Virginia. This is not a combat situation. You're going to throw someone out of the Marine Corps because he fell asleep on watch in Virginia. He goes, no, you don't understand. He said, when we approached him and said, did you fall asleep on watch? He denied it. And when we asked him again, he denied it again. And only when we gave him irrefutable proof that he had fallen asleep on watch did he say, I want to take responsibility for my actions. And the problem we have is you don't take responsibility for your actions at the time you're caught. You take responsibility for your actions at the time you perform those actions. They had another Marine who fell asleep on watch, and they approached him and they asked him, and he said, yes, I did, and he was punished, and they have no problem with him. And you see, it's all about trust. It's all about trust. When they put these group of men or women into a combat situation, the people who follow these people, if these people choose to be leaders, if they want to be officers, they have to know, their people have to know that if something goes wrong or if something goes bad, that these people will be honest with them. That if they turn their backs, that something, and that they have to trust these people. In a combat situation, when you're in a foxhole with somebody, you have to know to the core of your being that someone wouldn't say something just to protect themselves, but they would say something to protect you. This is what leadership is. It's a funny thing to talk about leadership, or even to aspire to it, when we don't really know what it is. The question is, why do we need leaders? Like, who cares? Aren't we all equals? Aren't we all competent? Why do we even need leaders? And the answer is actually very simple. If you go back historically, back to the beginnings of the birth of man, you find out why we evolved into these hierarchical animals. And we absolutely are hierarchical animals. If you put a group of people in a room and say you guys are all equals, it's just not true. We will always find a way to create a hierarchy amongst ourselves. Who's the dominant one? Who's the submissive one? The alpha, who's the strong one in the room? And the whole concept of leadership and hierarchy evolved many, many, many thousands of years ago for a very simple reason. It was very practical, actually. When we lived in groups of 50 to 100, but rarely more than 150, if someone came in with a carcass or a big bag of berries that they had gone picking that day, and we're all hungry and we all rush in for food, what's going to happen? We're going to start shoving and pushing. And if you happen to have been born a little stronger, you're going to keep shoving out everybody else. And the problem is you'll always eat, but no one else will. And so we evolved into these hierarchical animals where we allow the alphas, we allow the strong ones to eat first, and we sort of hang back and wait for them to finish. And the deal was they got first choice of meat and first choice of mate. And even though we didn't get first choice of meat or mate, we eventually got to eat later on. And this was the deal. And to this day, if you think about our leaders and those in sort of higher power, we have no problem with them getting advantages, first choice of meat or mate. We have no problem with somebody more senior than us getting the big corner office. We have no problem with somebody sort of more advanced in their career than us, sort of driving a nicer car. We have no problem with the celebrity getting the pretty girl. Like, we don't have a problem with our alphas, with our leaders getting advantages, getting first choice of meat or mate, getting treated better. We have no issue with it. But here's the problem, and here's what most leaders completely forget. Yes, as a leader, you get advantages. Yes, as a leader, you get treated differently and treated better and getting all of these first choices of meat or mate. And in return, all of this love and adoration you get from the group fills you with serotonin, this feeling of pride and status. And you all walk around like this when you have serotonin in your body. You feel good, right? It fills you up not only with the feeling of status and pride, but it fills you with confidence. And this is just the point. Right? We give our leaders extra confidence for a very simple reason. Because when there is a threat from the outside that would challenge our group, that would threaten our group, it's this person who is actually stronger, who now has more confidence, that is supposed to stand up in the face of that threat to protect the rest of us. And this is the deal with leadership. It is not a rank, it is not a role, it is a responsibility. The leader may actually get killed first, which is why we want them to have first choice of mate. We want those genes to continue in our gene pool. And this is what is so often forgotten in our modern day world. All those people who aspire for leadership, so many people who aspire for leadership, they want all the advantages and all the trappings and all of the first choices that come. They want the pride, the status, they want all the adoration that comes with the leadership role. But what they're not willing to do is to sacrifice themselves for the good of others. And this is what leadership is. We have to know that you are willing to protect us, which is why we will help you build your vision. We have to know that in the face of threat that you would put your own body in harm's way, you would put your own career on the line, which is why we are willing to give you our blood, our sweat, and our tears to see that your vision comes to life. In the Marine Corps, at the same place in Quantico, Virginia, you will never hear an officer say, "I'm a leader. I believe I have what it takes to be a leader, and I aspire to be a great leader." You will never hear those words coming out of a Marine officer's mouth. What you will hear is, "I'm a leader of Marines. I want to be a leader of Marines. I aspire to be a leader of Marines. I believe I have what it takes to be a leader of Marines." They always add "of Marines" to the end of the word leader. In other words, they know that leadership is for someone. It's not for me. It's not a place I hold, it's not a flag I hold, it is responsibility for others. If you think about it, a company or a corporation is a modern day invention. Even the nation state is a modern day invention. But there's only one thing that has predated all of these things: the family. A great leader is much like a parent, where they put themselves in harm's way to see that their children will be protected. They give everything they've got to their children, resources and skills. They're there to help them up if they need it. Sometimes they let them lift themselves up. Sometimes they have to discipline them. These things are all allowed in a leadership position. The difference is, it starts with absolute and unconditional love. This is why we have to be very, very careful who we let into our organizations. We have to be very, very careful when we're hiring people. It's much like adopting a child. Your business or your organization is not like a family, it is a family. Hiring somebody or bringing someone into an organization is like adopting a child. If you want to adopt a child, what are you going to do? You say, "Well, I'm looking for a kid about this high with blonde hair and blue eyes. Check, I'll take that one." That's not how we do it. That's how we do it when we hire people, though. We're looking for a certain skill set. We look at their resume. We had a decent interview. You're hired. We hire too quickly. If you're going to let someone into your family, you're going to give them keys to your home to use your stuff when you're not there. You may even give them responsibility. You may even give them responsibility over your other children, to look after your other children. You're going to spend a lot of time getting to know that child, finding out who they are. Do we get along with them? Do they get along with us? Before we let them into our family, it's exactly the same. And the reason is simple, because the day you join our family, you are automatically given unconditional love. The reason a parent can get away with disciplining their child and the child doesn't sort of run away or quit or go somewhere else is because they know that it's done with unconditional love. Great leaders, no matter what they do for us, no matter how hard they may push us, no matter how nice they are, it's got nothing to do with how nice a leader is. That's not great leadership. It's, do they start with unconditional love? Do they give their people everything, and are they willing to put themselves in harm's way so that their people and their organization and their group will continue to grow? This is why they've earned the right to get first choice of meet and first choice of mate. It is not simply because they are stronger. It is not simply because they're smarter. It's because they are in service to others. This is what leadership is. It is a responsibility, and it is service to others. Thank you very much.